tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Oh, man. It's Monday, all right. It's Monday. I'm just going to go with that. It's a Monday. Yeah. I really don't have any reason to be cranky, but I am. I don't know any real reason for it. I don't know. All right. We'll read from the doctor's opinion. You probably know where that's at. It's in this big blue book that we utilize. In the program, we call it the Big Book, but it is actually called Alcoholics Anonymous. I need to get another book, though, because this is my sponsoring book, and it needs to last, well, forever, because this is my sponsoring book. Might be time to start duct taping this thing up. So, pages, I mean, I bet yours is probably broken in the same place mine is. Where is it? Break it. So that's around the fourth step. 66, which is exactly where it started. So that's where you kind of see that's where it broke at. All right. So, yeah, good stuff. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, we're not going to read the first part. First part, he doesn't really say much. And then they're like, can you expand on that a little bit? We kind of wanted that. We kind of wanted a little more than that, Doc. You know, who was Dr. Silkworth? Dr. Silkworth was a man that worked with Bill quite a lot. He specialized in alcohol addiction, drug addiction, helping people. I'm not sure his full story, though. That'd be kind of interesting. Does Dr. Silkworth have an autobiography? Let's find out. And then let's find out. He doesn't have a formal one. He didn't write a full one. There is one called Dale Mitchell's biography, Silkworth, the little doctor who loved drunks. Did Dr. Silkworth come from an alcoholic family? I bet he did. I'll put it. No, there's no indication. Okay. Came from an alcoholic. He was known for work, particularly in his role. Let's go find out. Why did Dr. Silkworth work with alcoholics? There are different physical mental realities. He began to state, now that's not what I asked. All right. What kind of doctor was Dr. Silkworth? He was actually in World War I as a member of the psychiatric staff at the U.S. Army Hospital. He joined Towns Hospital in New York as the director in 1932, specializing in treatment of alcoholism and drug addiction. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I was hoping we'd get some people, but things have just been plummeting. So welcome to Day of the Trudge. I'm Dion. If you're here, please say hello. And let's get started. So we're going to start on XXVII, which would be page 27 in Roman numerals. So if you go with the doctor's opinion, there's going to be some big print, then some little print, and then some big print, and some little print. In that order, it's the last little print. All right. The subject presented in this book seems to me to be of paramount importance to those afflicted with alcoholic addiction. I say this after many years as medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcohol and drug addiction. There was, therefore, a sense of real satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on a subject which is covered so masterly in such masterly detail in these pages. We doctors have realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology, which is the 12 steps, was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its applications presented difficulties beyond our conception. What with our ultra modern standards, our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge. The powers of good would be God. In the medical field, they call it the X factor. Right? In this case, he's calling it the powers of good. In this case, we're going to be talking about God, the higher power, power greater than yourself, however you want to say it. Yeah. Many years ago, one of the leading contributors to this book came under our care in this hospital, and while here, he acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. That is Bill W. And he had been talking with Ebby and the people at the Oxford group, and he really liked their tenets. He was Christian himself. It's a Christian based, it was Christian based. So, yeah, he wanted to put them into practice, start putting them into practice. Essentially, we call it 12th stepping now. That's what he was doing, right? Later, he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients here, and with some misgivings, we consented. The cases we have followed through have been most interesting. You don't need to bite me, dude. In fact, many of them are amazing. The unselfishness of these men, as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive. Their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in this alcoholic field. They believe in themselves and still in the power which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. Chronic alcoholics. I was a chronic alcoholic. Chronic means you can't stop. You know what it means. Right? Because we use chronic in a lot more than just that. So we alcoholics have a different language. Chronic to me means a type of marijuana that used to be out. All right. That's all it really is. Oh, all right. Back from the gates of death. Of course, an alcoholic ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor, and this often requires a definite hospital procedure before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit. I like the way that he put that. So, in other words, we got to get off the hooch first. We got to quit drinking. We can't be drunk and working this program. It won't work. You can sit there, and you can even sit there and say you're powerless over alcohol. Your life has become unmanageable with drink in hand. Absolutely, you can. It's possible. I've seen it before, but still, they can't seem to be, even in that state, they still can't be able to seem to get off the alcohol. And that's why they're saying that it often requires a definite hospital procedure. Now, that doesn't mean you're going under the knife or anything like that. It just means we're trying to get the alcohol out of you. We're trying to get you to a safe spot, make sure that the main thing is the heart. That's the main thing that we're concerned about when it comes to detoxing, because your heart can start to go so fast that it goes kaplooey. It goes kaplowy, right? But, even while you're working with somebody who might be a little inebriated, there's times when people come into the meetings and they might have been drinking. There's a difference between been drinking and drunk for us, for sure. You know, but maybe they've been drinking. You know, can we help those people? Absolutely, we can. A lot of meetings prefer that if you've been drinking, that you don't talk in the meet or that you don't share in the meeting. I don't really mind. Doesn't bother me. It's the point of the cutoff is the disruption if there's disruption going on. So I'm going to check something here just real quick. We've got a couple people here just making sure that chat's working. It's been fine lately. So, all right. So before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit, right? We want you to have the best chance that you can at this. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol in these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy. That the phenomena of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. All right? Because there's a lot of products out there that have alcohol in them. Not so much anymore. They've done a pretty good job. Cold medicine is the big one. Yeah. Nighttime cold medicine. Make sure that when the cold medicine is blue, that you check for alcohol. Okay. Robitussin, no, can't have it. no tussin for us. All right. There are drinks out there. You got to be Colorado. You can now sell alcohol at 7-Eleven, these different places, right? Pretty much you can sell alcohol from next to your lemonade stand on your front lawn in Colorado anymore. But right, so be careful if you're trying a new drink. I've heard a couple of times people trying a new drink, they didn't know that there was alcohol in it. They get pretty tricky with that shit sometimes. They do, right? So, and once having formed the habit, they found a habit and found they cannot break it. Once having lost their self-confidence, their reliance upon things humans, their problems pile up on them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. Let me kind of give you the difference between these types of alcoholics. When I was 18 years old and I got sober, I was not addicted to alcohol quite yet. I was and I wasn't. Okay. It was pretty easy for me compared to this next time. It was pretty easy for me to get off the hooch, but the consequences were there. The consequences were happening. And that's why I quit, because I didn't like the consequences that were going with my drinking, which was homelessness. Right. My family believed in tough love. They still kind of do. I don't go that route personally, but, so they weren't going to help me. Luckily I found a place that would help me. Now, I don't blame them, because if I would have went to their house, I wouldn't have quit drinking. So would that really have been helping me? Well, not really. Not really. Now I had 12 years sobriety. I went out for 15 years. Yeah. Then the obsession started. Then I needed alcohol all the fucking time. All the time. It was every day. When I was 17, 18, it was dependent on whether I could get alcohol that day or not. And I would certainly try, but my concern mostly was finding a place to sleep for the night, really, than it was drinking. Drinking was kind of secondary at that point, because I was too scared to be. All right. Their reliance, having lost confidence, their reliance upon things human, their problems pile up on them, and they become astonishingly difficult to solve. What alcoholic doesn't come into the room crying that they're getting ready to lose everything? We all do. Um, maybe you're losing your house, maybe you're losing your job. The people in your life seems to be the big one, though. Just last week I tried to work with somebody we hadn't heard from. A sponsee and I were like, we got the address, we're gonna go check up on them, and they were okay. It was a reminder that, hey, there are people out there that love you, and that they had slipped, and of course they felt shame and blame, and you know and we're like, you can still go to meetings. We're not going to give you crap. And they said, well, I don't want to trigger anyone. I'm like, I go everywhere and see alcohol. You do not get to determine other people's, but that's an alcoholic mind. Is that an excuse? No, they actually feel that way, even though it is an excuse. Okay. That's an alcoholic mind for you. And we get that. We understand that. Doctors and everybody, non-alcoholics, they don't understand. That's the part they don't understand. They don't get it. And that's okay. They're not required to. Only alcoholics are really neat, right? So I can understand. Well, I don't want to trigger them. I don't, you know, at least they were thinking of other people. So to me, it's kind of progress, is it not? So is it an excuse? Yes, it is. You and I know that. But I'm dealing with an alcoholic. And what does that mean? That means that I'm talking to somebody who's going to lie to me. I know that already. When newcomers come in, this is what I do. You got to let them be as honest as they can at the moment. They may not know how yet. I know I had to learn how to be honest because I couldn't see where I was being dishonest. All right. So a little different. As it can be different for everyone. It mixes up a little bit. Frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. You can beg us. When doctor when doctor told me I had 6 months to live, you know what my thought was? 6 more months of this hell? Alcoholic mind. Didn't scare me. What scared me was having to do that for another 6 months. Clearly that did not happen because I'm still here. All right. So people beg us. They beg us to get sober. They beg us to change our lives. I'm not hurting anybody. Leave me alone. See, I used my anger as a defense mechanism more than anything else because it worked really quick. And then I didn't have to do a bunch of explaining. Oh, I remember when one of my friends, you know, six foot, what he's like 6'5", 6'7", 300 pounds, Italian dude, used to center for Trent Green, who used to be the quarterback for Kansas City Chiefs. Even one day he even told me, Dion, you are an asshole. You really are. And all right. The message which can interest and hold these alcoholic people must have depth and weight. In nearly all cases, their ideals must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to recreate their lives. Depth and weight. We are the depth and weight because we have been there. We've provided the same excuses. We've provided the same reasons. We've done that. We've done the same things. Maybe we said it a little different, but I guarantee you almost every alcoholic that has children, this has come out of their mouth. I would die for my children. And there's nothing closer to the truth than that. Because we were dying for our children. Not for them, but around them. See, alcoholism is what we call suicide on the installment plan. I remember somebody finally said to me, Dion, dying's the easy way. Would you get well for your kids? And I didn't say it again. Because they were telling me the truth. That was the actual thing. But would you get well for him? Eventually, my answer was yes. And I got sober for my wife and kids. I did. I'm still sober for my wife and kids. It's hard for me to do that part for myself. I don't know why, but I do the program and I do recovery for myself. I have to do that for myself, or it just doesn't seem to work the way that it's supposed to. Right. So, but yeah, you know, I don't care the reason why you got sober. Well, I do care, you know, but it's not going to change how I feel or anything like that. It's not going to change anything. All right. So their ideals must be grounded in a power greater themselves. If any film that is psychiatrist directing a hospital for alcoholics, we appear somewhat sentimental. This is something I tend to bring up a lot. Registration reminder, SUD treatment in Colorado. If you've not registered to attend the SUD treatment in Colorado session, there is still time. Nah. Yeah, I'm not going to go to that. I'm kind of getting away from a lot of that. I don't need it. All right. Let them stand with us a while on the firing line. See the tragedies, the despairing wives, the little children. Let the solving of these problems become a part of their daily work, and even in their sleeping moments, and the most cynical will not wonder why that we have accepted and encouraged this movement. Go work the front lines for a little bit, and then people and you folks do. I mean, go to AA meetings. It's the line right after the front lines. Detox and hospitals and jails are kind of the front lines. Just that's most. But we alcoholics are the ones that work the front line. We go back to the sordid places that we used to visit to try and help. I did it this last weekend. I wouldn't even call it a sordid place. It was Section 8 housing. A lot of drugs in that area. But that's exactly where we should be. That's exactly where we should be situated, right? The working the front lines or being a part of the front lines it's not easy. Um, it isn't. It sometimes it's gonna break your fucking heart, man. Sometimes it'll be so much that you're just like, I can't do this. And that's okay. Don't think less of yourself if something like that does happen. It's all right. You know, um, it's hard for me to work the front because I have a lot of empathy. And when there's crying children, man, whew, that's the hardest one. Hmm. We feel after many years of experience that we have found nothing which has contributed more to the rehabilitation of these men, the altruistic movement now growing up among them. I'm going to plug AA a little bit here. Of course, we all know I'm a big AAer. We know that. A lot of people also understand that I don't think AA is the only way. I don't work that way. No thanks. It's all good. It's good. All right. But we are the number one way. We are the most utilized. Okay. AA is the largest organization in the world. The largest organization in the whole world, man. And not one person wanted to be a member. So don't tell me there ain't something going on. Millions of alcoholics aren't wrong in this situation, but usually otherwise millions of alcoholics are always wrong. We'll do it together too. Can't stand on you get saying alcoholic and truth or alcoholic and honesty in the same sentence. Yeah, it just doesn't quite match. Little humor. Okay. rehabilitation than the altruistic movement. Now, we all kind of know what altruistic means, but we're going to look it up. Definition of altruistic. Showing a disinterested and selfless concern for the well-beings of others. So is the opposite of selfishness. It is unselfish. What does it mean if someone is altruistic? Altruism is characterized by selflessness and concern for the well-being of others. So if you go help someone and then you brag about it on Facebook, that's not altruistic. It's not. Even if you're not bragging, even if you just go post it, go tell somebody else, oh, I helped this person. I did this. I did that. It's not altruistic. Because you're thinking of yourself. Look what I did. See how high I can jump? Yeah, see, you're not going to get I say this often. You're going to get the benefit. You're going to get benefits, but you ain't going to get the same benefits as the person over there not bragging, because you got your present already. You got your gift already. If you choose your gift, God ain't giving you one. He probably did give you one, but you ain't going to see it because you're too busy playing with your new gift. All right. Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. It is the only reason I drink. There was no other reason why I drank. I like the effect produced by alcohol. It wasn't for the taste. That's for fuck sure. I do not like the way alcohol tastes. All right. I'm a very picky eater, and I don't care if I'm fucking starving. If I don't like something, I ain't going to eat it. But with alcohol, no, all bets were off. Yes. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, they cannot after a time differentiate the true from the false. To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are restless, irritable, and discontented unless they can again experience the sense and ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks. Drinks which they see others taking with impunity. All right. Now, you can't get that ease and comfort back without alcohol. It can happen, but you're going to have to make some decisions and you're going to have to stick with them. Yes. You have to do some work to get there. It is your higher power that helps you with this, but you are the one that does it for you. You're the one that does it for you. Then it goes on to say drinks that we see others taking with impunity. What does that mean? Without consequence. Without consequence, or not bad consequences. In other words, it doesn't affect them like it does us. See, they can have one or two, and that's all the elation they needed. Us, we need more and more and more and more and more. There's never enough. Right? After they have succumbed to the desire again, as so many do, and the phenomenal craving develops, they pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution not to drink again. Every time I promised to quit drinking, I meant it. Well, I don't know about every time, but usually, yeah. Towards the end, especially. It's not like I wasn't trying. I kept putting myself in detox. I looked for help. It's one of the reasons why I do what I do. I went searching for help for 2 years. I could find none. And I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor. I used to do a lot of shit in this state. It's just all gone. It's all gone. Yeah. Right? With a firm resolution not to drink again, this is repeated over and over, and unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, there's very little hope of his recovery. Now, the psychic changes, this is the change of mind. Psychic is change. I'm sorry, psychic is mind, change is change. So we just change our minds. But there's a lot of different reasons. Earlier I was saying, any reason that you want to get sober, that's kind of what the psychic change is. You just changed your mind. You don't want the consequence. Maybe you don't want to live that way anymore. Maybe it's the consequences. Maybe it's the consequences. Maybe, just maybe, it's the fucking consequences. You're not willing to do that anymore. Whether that consequence be the crying children, a nudge from the judge, or whatever it is. The psychic change is usually created by an outside force. The alcoholic does not come to this conclusion all on their own. They do not. It takes a tribe to get someone sober and keep someone sober. Right? Now, the psychic change, sometimes it comes with a spiritual experience, sometimes it doesn't, but it is not required. Right? Because what does the spiritual experience say? There's two kinds. There's the sudden upheaval, right? Which most of us do not get. And then there's the educational variety. Well, that is step 0, and it does not require. Sometimes people do have one. Great. Good job, man. I think that's awesome. For me, it did not happen that way. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see some of you in about 20 minutes. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.